There we go, folks. Recording now in progress. So we shall, here we go, being recorded. And how is this Arctic weather that's coming up from Taswegia affecting everybody? I would reckon it's probably not affecting Charters Towers too much. It's going to be 8 degrees here on Wednesday evening. That's just a little fresh. I may even have to put socks on. Just not sure. Anyway, let's get into this tonight because I have a little bit of history that I want to talk about and how that impacts what we're doing and what to expect and where it's coming from, etc. So we'll just make sure that everything that we do steers us in the right direction, because there is a whole lot of fluff and bubble happening in the world as we speak. 30th of May 2022. How did we get to the end of May so quickly? It's June, next couple of days. Just amazing. Okay, here we go. Everyone goes forward together. That's our tagline. Make sure you get help if you need it. You can log into the goldrocks YouTube channel and watch these recordings anytime you want. And I post them in the Telegram channel as well. So you can watch them there. We'll put in the email should be a link to the Telegram channel if you want to register on that. That's where we keep more things up to date and we make sure that we get to move things along and bring new information to you through that Telegram channel, but be careful in there. Telegram has become the hive of scammers in the world. So just got to be a little bit careful. If it's someone that you don't know that contacts you, there's a fair chance they're after something. Okay, let's get amongst this so we can get into our history lesson. Welcome, everybody. Welcome to you all. Maxine, see you there. Ms. Sawyer, all sorts of people here. Ms. Harvey, Dave Piggott's here. Doug and Jenny, Ernie, iPhone. If you wouldn't mind, can you click on your name and change it so we know who you are, please? iPhone and user, just to make sure we know everybody's legit. So even if you put in something like BJ, because we know who BJ is. And Ms. Goodlett has just joined us from the Towers. Wow. Okay, let's go, everybody. Remember, we're expressing our views only. We do not represent any of the companies that we talk about, and we don't give financial advice. We're sharing with you information that we've discovered, processes that we've tested, and you do with it as you wish. So let's look at some history. September 2nd, 1901. You didn't know they had cryptocurrency then, did you? Mr. Teddy Roosevelt used the phrase, speak softly and carry a big stick, to describe his foreign policy. And later on, it became known as gunboat diplomacy. And why is this relevant? Well, this was Teddy's big stick. He would park that in the harbour of someone that he wanted to negotiate with, and they'd run all sorts of drills while they were in the harbour, and basically to let people know, the people that he was meeting with and talking to, how important it was that they paid attention to what he wanted to say. So let's just rephrase that. That's okay for the UK, for the President of the USA. It's easy to do that sort of negotiation when you've got a battleship in your pocket or a fleet that you can send somewhere to sail up and down the coast and make people nervous. It's easy to do that when you have those tools. But what about us? If we don't have a battle fleet to throw around, what about us? How do we do this? Well, we've got our voice, so we can speak up. We have our vote, that's our stick. And we have our actions. There's a few issues with those three things. If you make too much noise, you get a lot of unwanted attention. So if we as voters do not hold our representatives to account, we are dispensing with our rights. So that's what we need to think about. And over the last few years of this pandemic, we've seen in almost every country just wild scenes of protests, riots, police brutality, people getting arrested. It was quite interesting in Moscow when the war first started in Ukraine. Anybody that walked up and spoke to someone with a camera was immediately arrested. Didn't matter if they were pro-Putin or pro this or pro that or against the war, didn't matter. As soon as you spoke to someone with a camera, you got arrested. So it's a way to manipulate the population to get what you want as a leader of a country. So if we speak too loudly, we end up in trouble. We either get arrested or blocked from any form of public speaking. Twitter is notorious for deleting tweets or accounts that don't match what they think they should say. So irregardless of the fact of whether they know what they're talking about, they very, very quickly block people who they believe need to be blocked or need to be blocked out of the system. And that, in fact, is rather disturbing because that's changing our right to free speech. And that is just intimidation, as Martin says. So here in Australia, we get to vote. If we vote, we at least have a chance of our point of view being noticed. If we vote, lots of people vote with a blank sheet or scribble over it and put it in. It's kind of pointless, doesn't achieve anything. So what is the point? Well, right now, in a place called Davos in Switzerland, the World Economic Forum is meeting. And what's the point of that? Look at why the Brits exited the European Union. Now, when I first heard them talking about Brexit, I thought, that's a really bad idea because all of your trading partners are right there. You get all sorts of subsidies from the union, etc., etc., etc. All the reasons why you shouldn't do it. And it wasn't until I was on a WhatsApp call with a friend of mine who lives in London, and he launched into a tirade about why they needed to leave the European Union. And here was the key thing that stuck between my eyes. He said, nobody in the European Parliament is elected. Nobody. So they're making decisions on what the Brits can do in their own country, but the Brits have no voice. They can't vote for a decision in the European system. That's disturbing. Now, again, what's happening right now in Davos, Switzerland? The World Economic Forum is meeting. Now, you might think, just from hearing that the World Economic Forum's doing a get-together, okay, maybe they'll come up with something that will help us, works out well, all that sort of thing. Why would you be concerned about the World Economic Forum meeting? Well, think about who goes there. Ask yourself, did you get the opportunity to we've just had an election. Did you get the opportunity to tell your representative what you want the World Economic Forum to talk about? None of us did. And attendees include, from the US, 583 participants, 220 from Switzerland, 211 from the UK, and 109 from India. No elected officials. CEOs are there in bulk. There's 612 chief executive officers in attendance and only 22 chief financial officers. And the top boss, wait for it, is Adar, I'm going to crucify his name, Poonawalla, who is the chief executive officer of Serum Institute of India. Now, it doesn't matter what his job is. The concern for me as a human being that really likes the fact that we get to vote, why are these people, no representatives from Australia there, why are they meeting? None of them got elected by me. The 2008 financial crisis, those bankers followed the rules laid down by this group. Now, if that doesn't concern you, it should. Now they're meeting to see how to get us out of the financial storm we're in right now. I'm a little bit concerned because none of those people probably could point to a globe and say, this is Australia. But they're going to make decisions that affect us economically. That's a grave concern for me. The only certainty is that they'll still get their bonuses and we, the people, will pay for that. Because all the bankers in the 2008 financial crisis that caused the crisis still got their bonuses. But we, the people, bailed them out. We paid for it once again. So what countries prosecuted the bankers who committed the fraudulent acts? Put your hand up or type a comment in if you think you know how that was resolved. Because I can tell you it's pretty scary when you look at the numbers. The bankers that caused the 2008 financial crisis, it's a short list of people that were prosecuted. Iceland. Of all the countries in the world, Iceland took to court and convicted 25 bankers. Mostly it was for fraud and false information. They served time. 25 in Iceland. It gets worse. Spain, 11 convictions. You want to know how bad it really gets? Ireland, 7. Wait for it. Cyprus, 1. Now, Cyprus was the first country in the world to just sweep bank accounts. They're in such a bad way that they swept everybody's bank accounts, took their cash, and there was nothing that those depositors could do about it. And that legal precedent has been noted and is part of our legal system in Australia today. Should concern you. Germany, 1 conviction. We'll talk about why it's in red in a moment. Italy, 1 conviction. And the USA, 1 conviction. That's a giant list, isn't it? Every country in the world was brought to its knees in 2008. And that is the list of bankers, and I can look them up and tell you who they were and how much time they served. Most of them were very short sentences. The Icelandic people were the ones that gave them the biggest slapping around and made sure that they served a reasonable amount of time. Germany and the USA are in red because the USA bankers, their system, created the derivatives and the marketplace that caused the crash. Germany was the country who had the banking system, who created false transactions to hide what they'd done. In fact, I remember towards well into the crisis, listening to Angela Merkel berate the US president because they needed to pay more attention to Deutsche Bank because Deutsche Bank was fine. The German banks didn't have any issues. Guess what? The German banks were creating fake transactions and created an entire banking system with two separate charts of accounts. So if you were getting investigated, you showed them the ones that looked good. If you really wanted to know how deep the hole was, you read the other ones. And it was years before the German system was discovered. Years. One conviction. The guy in the US was a mid-level manager and he got charged with fraud and convicted. None of the CEOs, not a single chief executive in America so much as got a slap. But they all got their bonuses and they got bailed out. The people who lost their houses didn't get bailed out, but all the bankers did. Okay. Remember, we have our voice. Let your elected representatives know how you feel. And it just came to me today when I was thinking about what we'd talk about tonight. We've just had an election and it's created a bit of uproar. Well, I don't think it created nearly as much uproar as I would have liked to see, but it is what it is. Let your elected representatives know how you feel. We have our vote. Make sure you vote with your conscience. Don't vote because I said vote a blue ticket or a green ticket or a yellow ticket. Vote how you feel. Speak up. We have our actions. Take your own actions to begin protecting yourself. The government is not going to protect you. They have time and time again shown repeatedly that they will not do anything to look after the little people. The people they look after are the big corporations and the chief executives. They are not going to look after the little people. You don't count. The government views it that way. The banks view it that way. There is a process you need to deal with, I suppose, come to terms with. We're the little people. It's our money and our sweat and our efforts that make the country run. But you get very little voice, so make sure you vote. Make sure you let your elected representatives know what you think. I had the opportunity a few years ago to attend a couple of afternoon teas with members of our state government, and you may be surprised to know that I may have told them a couple of times what I think of them. It was an interesting afternoon. Now, a couple of quick things on our business. I had someone ask me the question, why should I buy the physical hub? Well, despite the fact that it's a cool device and inside that device is the software for a masternode on the zeniq blockchain, and it mints coins, etc., etc. You can have additional masternodes. The zeniq coin will be used as a platform for new tokens. We're going to talk about that in a minute. But the real reason I wanted my own masternode was really simple. I have control of my masternode. If it's in my spare room, if it's turned on and running, I have control. That simple. I wanted to make sure that I would not be held to ransom. What about these ones? Well, that's a digital hub, but there's no device. Now, They're distributed. You can buy shares. There's a half, quarter, an eighth, 16th, a 32nd. The beauty of that is you can get involved for 100 euros. Pretty much everybody can afford 100 euros. It gives everybody the chance to get a piece of that action. The problem is someone else has the off button. Now, I happen to know through many questions that these digital systems are dispersed around the world. So they're not all in one data center. So that's a good thing. It's also in a very secure system. Another good thing. But somebody else ultimately has control of that. So if you're hemming and hawing about, do I get a digital hub or one with a tablet? I'd be getting the one with a tablet. Now, as far as I know, there will be an option in the not too distant future to buy the tablet separately and take your digital hub and put it into the tablet. There's some changes coming in the software. There was some discussion about it a while back. Sadly, it's on the back burner a bit because we're trying to get a whole bunch of projects out into the marketplace. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm worried because I've got some parts of hubs like that, bits and pieces. There's lots of people on the call that have got a 32nd, a 16th, a 1/8, a full one. They're fine. They work the same. If you've got a full hub, if you've paid 14.99 euros for a digital hub, it will be able to print the new tokens. Mint, sorry, not print. But if you have a fraction of one, I don't believe it will. That's just a reading between the lines. But that's the reason I wanted a physical device. It already has a built-in cold wallet. It gives me the power to control what I'm doing. And that's why I bought the physical device. So, ZenCon. I've been talking about this for a little while. And I have to say, when I first heard about it, I was very cold about the idea. I smiled and nodded appropriately, so it looked like I was on board. But ZenCon, it's a conference zeniq is putting on, and they're bringing 200 gamers together, programmers together, to show them how to use the zeniq blockchain to do what they do inside the games. Now, I've mentioned it a few times in the last couple of months, and yeah, I think it's cool. zeniq is paying all the expenses of 200 programmers. They had well over 2,000 programmers apply. So they've picked out who they think are the top 200. Now, what does that mean for us? Well, only yesterday did I happen to stumble across a YouTube video about the size of the crypto market inside the gaming industry. Inside. I had no idea that it even existed. The last thing I remember is watching Russell play Super Mario, and every time he hit something with the car, he got little gold tokens so he could get up to the next level. Well, apparently it is huge. And yes, Martin, they have NFTs in there as well. And I'm just staggered by when this guy said the size of it. I had to rewind it to make sure I didn't mishear it. It is massive. And they're all currently using blockchains that are somewhat cumbersome. So switching them over onto the zeniq platform is going to get us a lot of traffic on the blockchain, a lot of fees from the exchanges. I can't wait now to see what's going to happen, but we need to expect in the next few days, because it's not far away till the end of it, 8, 9, think it's 9 days away, the end of this, because it starts on the 2nd. So expect this conference to come out with some amazing solutions and for it to run with it. They're apparently going to run this conference every year, and they will pay for the top 200 programmers to come together somewhere in the world. This one is in Mexico, and to show them the advantages of using the zeniq system. So, wow, I'm becoming educated and amazed, and just seeing how they're creating it and how it works. There's going to be a lot of traffic on our blockchain just from the gaming business, a lot of traffic. And the whole system that this is one of the flyers that they sent out electronically. It's interesting. I looked at it and thought, why would I be interested in that? But hey, all the information's there. 3rd to the 8th of June in Mexico, Playa del Carmen. Nice resort area. They are, as I said, paying for 200 people, all their accommodation, travel, everything. So let's see what comes out of that. The guy up in the top right corner there is one of the managers of the zeniq business in Europe. So his name is Mark. And probably one day we'll ask him about whether he knows the joke about what a dog with a hare lip says. But we won't do that just yet. Hey, stop that. So the hubs. I mentioned a few weeks ago that hubs are going to have other uses. So let's have a look at some of what's coming. This is the link to the hub information. There's lots of information there and about the hub and the software that runs it. So I've downloaded a lot of it into PDF and have saved it. The new token that we talked about last week coming out on the zeniq blockchain that our hubs will mint will launch after the conference. So 8th of June over there, that'll be the 9th of June here because we're a lot smarter than them. We get out of bed earlier. So just expect it to, there'll be an announcement, and make sure that you keep a sharp eye on it. It will require a minting solution. However, you know anyone with a hub? Please note, there may be a fee or license we need to purchase to mint the new coin. Now, the reason I'm saying there may, I have not heard that, but please don't be shocked if that's what happens, because it may. They might say, no, it's a different token. You might need to pay, I don't know, I'm making this up, but a fee to mint these new coins. Now, the reason you want to be onto it if you can, when they first released the hubs and the zeniq coin was first being minted on the blockchain, those first people that had hubs minting got stupid amounts of coins, because the total number of coins per day that need to be minted are shared amongst a small number. So we'll need to be onto that. As soon as I hear any hint of news about that, about when it's going live, etc., I will be sending out an email, and I'll stick it in the Telegram channel as well. If you're going to do it, you might as well get the best return. I know in the early days of the zeniq system, the hubs were paying for themselves in less than 100 days. So it's well worth paying attention and getting on board with it. So don't forget the roadmap, because this is critical. I'm going over this every week because I need everyone to understand how this comes together. AU4U exists on its own. The zeniq blockchain is run by zeniq on its own. Goldrocks is the training arm for AU4U. Safir is the training arm for zeniq. AU4U has physical metal here in Vegas. You can get it redeemed. Louise? Yes, Miss Louise, if you can hear me, I have your information and I will give you a call tomorrow so we can sort that out for you. Why Singapore for the metal that's in the tokens? Well, it's because they have the largest custodial vault in the Asia Pacific region. It's massive, and they've got a very long history of being successful at it. The Avanoc tokens run on the zeniq blockchain. How good is the Avanoc token going? Took a little tiny bit of a downturn in the last crash, but not much at all. So just goes to show when you've got a token that has a business model behind it, lots of good things happen. The staking is now working, although you really need to have a mob of coins to make the staking worthwhile. And I don't know too many people that have got that many Avanoc tokens. Tupan will go live soon. I don't know if that's the project that they're announcing on the 9th. I have absolutely no idea, but it will go live very soon. The zeniq coin runs on the zeniq blockchain natively, and there's 400 other projects already in the pipeline. I've got a penchant for smiling when I see that, because the thing that always bothered me about crypto was that they don't actually represent anything. A bucket full of Bitcoin is a bucket full of air. They don't exist. This blockchain now gives us the ability to have tokens that are backed by something. They are really a hard asset, and that's why it's so cool. That's why we've chosen that blockchain. And what links these two together? Silver and gold tokens, because the metal is part of AU4U, the blockchain's part of the zeniq safir system. Those two things will create revenue, and that is what we're going to all benefit from. So it's really important that you understand how those two businesses mesh together. And boy, I cannot wait until it's operational and just happening. Remember, the smart chain will go live in June. I suspect it will be announced immediately after the conference, because I'm reasonably sure that the new project will be part of the smart chain system. So that's what our metal coins will run on as well. The reasons for tokenization, well, it's an easy way to do project financing. It's a big saving for companies because raising capital is expensive. It's 100% transparent because you can see on CoinMarketCap how many coins there are and what they represent. You can tokenize pretty much anything as long as it's a physical asset. And if you don't have a physical asset, what you've just created is a cryptocurrency with nothing behind it. The reason this is so important is that we are a part of this. These coins will have real physical value. Makes a massive difference. Last week, we talked about Luna and USDC, two stable coins. Well, Luna was relaunched a few days ago. It had gone from $120-something to zero in a few hours. It was relaunched and it lost over 70% of its value in the first few hours. What I can't quite grasp is why people think a cryptocurrency that's backed by Bitcoin could in any way be construed as being a stable coin. It's insane to think that. And yes, people have lost their shirt many times over. It's just ridiculous. Anyway, we won't dwell on that but what this is doing is showing people how good our tokens will be because they're backed by physical metal. Why is it a stable coin? I don't think it is. And it is a perfect setup for our zeniq business with real asset backed coins. Thoughts and prayers again go out to everyone in the Ukraine. I'd love to be able to affect some change over there, but sadly I can't, other than be supportive of them. I find it difficult to come up with a reason why that type of aggression is allowed to exist in the world. So what now? Okay, to prevent disaster, you need a way to privately hold assets and have spendable assets, because the government is not going to help you do that. They're going to come out with their own centralized currency. You need to know how to protect your assets, have a way to create a side hustle. And that's what, a lot of financial advisors now are telling people. You need a side hustle. You need another way to make money. Because I don't think there's any way that a single income family can buy a house and at the moment probably struggle to pay rent. It's ridiculous, the price of rentals. And it's ridiculous, the price of property. Do I think they will come down? Maybe. There's a number of people that are predicting a real estate downturn. Let's see what happens. I'll probably like it because I'm thinking about buying somewhere. We're in the right place to benefit from this economic mess because it's free to add a wallet, and coin minting starts at 100 euros and up. So the new minting options go live 8/6/22 in Europe. That's 9/6/22 for us. Just make sure you understand that, and we will be onto it. We'll let people know as soon as the option is there and what we need to do to see what we can achieve with it. Stay focused on the package. There isn't one of these things that will give you security, but the three of them together, three legs of the tripod, it's stable. What if you want more coins? They will be available on the zeniq exchange soon, or purchase hubs or parts of hubs. The La token option is still there. It's ugly and clunky, but it does work. I found it very difficult, and I know Malcolm's on the call. He found that their fee structure was really ugly because if you didn't send them enough Bitcoin, it didn't end up in your wallet. They just absorbed it. Really nice group. But the hubs or part thereof will mint free coins for you. Now, if you have a part hub, you're not going to have the option to add new coin, this new coin that they're calling out, or token. They won't handle those. You have to have a full hub for that. And the coins, 24 hours in your wallet, you can do whatever you like with them. So that's why people have joined zeniq in the early days, before we did, and they had they've got multiple hubs now because they were paying for themselves and they were reinvesting the money and buying more. Why are we here? We're a group of like-minded people focused on economic survival. And if you don't think the world is changing, you need to have a look out the window, because everything we do is being impacted by world events. Everything we do. And I don't have the answers. I just know that it's important that I take some steps now so that I can be reasonably well protected, because the world is changing, and who knows what's going to happen in Europe when you've got a bloke over there who's sweating, supposedly ill, and has a big red button. Let's hope that doesn't ever get pushed. So let's look at these guys. Wow, I love doing this slide every week. I listen to these guys talk and think, damn, we need to think about what we're doing. This is Florian Heiser in Brisbane here, and he's talking about how desperate builders are getting because they've signed fixed price contracts, and the cost of materials have gone through the roof. So to build the house now, they will lose a bundle of money. If they don't build the house, they're going to lose a bundle of money because they'll get sued. So they're in a no-win situation, and they are getting desperate. And this one just makes me mad. Metricon came out with a statement just a few days ago saying, no, they're not in fear of failing. They're just doing a little bit of restructuring. Well, now the New South Wales government is talking about a $30 million bailout for Metricon. 30 million. They're not in trouble, mind you. Right, a bit of restructuring. Have a guess who's going to pay that 30 million? All of us. Whether we've got a Metricon house being built or not, we're all going to pay for that. It's disturbing. And here's the video that I listened to where they talked about the gaming industry and how it works. And as Martin said, NFTs, non-fungible tokens. It's a well-timed video. Opened my eyes when they started to talk about the size of the industry and the number of dollars involved in cryptocurrency that people win through games. I don't know how they do that, but hey, if we get some more volume out of it, I'll be a happy camper. This is a podcast from the Money GPS, an American dude. And he's telling people the bleedingly obvious that Walmart, Amazon, and Target may begin mass layoffs because with all the shortage of product coming out of China, all the hoopla about China, the South China Sea, Taiwan, etc., there's not a lot of product coming from China to the Western world. I know Sue organised a new dryer the other day and had to pay for it and hopes it will turn up in 6 weeks. Hopes it will turn up in 6 weeks. A clothes dryer. It's not flash. It's not technical. There's nobody makes them here. They all come out of China. Disturbing, isn't it? What happens when these big brands that you see named there start losing shops? They're going to have to be gone. Staff will be gone. Yes, Martin, we did used to make them here. We had a car manufacturing facility right here in Brisbane. I can remember driving past the plant, seeing them load Holdens onto the train, the ship all over the place. Used to make our own cars here. We had car plants in Brisbane, Sydney, Melbourne, Adelaide. And now there's not one. Amazing, isn't it? Now, here's a very interesting listen. This is Peter Schiff talking about the fact that people are confusing that it's not Putin and it's not the pandemic. It's the US Federal Reserve. It's their handling of the monetary policy that's caused the situation that everybody's in. And it's a pretty interesting article, well worth a listen. And here we are, George Gammon. He's giving it to the guys in Davos. If you thought I was a little bit hard on him, you ought to listen to George. He's just saying that the global elite, so the people that are in Davos, he calls them the elite, have just revealed their plan to control our money. And it does sound like everybody is in a world of hurt there. And yes, Phil, I think we will have a situation here for all sorts of manufacturing, depending on what happens in Europe and China over the coming next couple of years. Watch this space. Hey, everybody, the bottom line is everything we knew as normal has gone and is unlikely to come back as it was before. Everything we've ever talked about is already coming true. So make sure that you understand you don't need to be a salesperson. This is a standalone business. I think the number, the last time I checked in the zeniq system, with the members that have purchased hubs, well over 80% of the people that have purchased hubs, that's all they've done. They haven't registered anybody. They haven't done any networking. They've purchased their own hub. So it mints coins. That's all they want. I'm pretty happy with that myself. Be your own bank, because we're giving you the ability to hold and use money in spendable assets. Make sure you protect yourself. That's us for tonight, folks. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope you got a little bit of interest in the history. I love history, and Teddy Roosevelt's one of my favourite people when you start to read his story. If there's any questions, happy to answer them. Type fast or unmute, and we'll see what we can do about answering them. Don't see any typing. Mind you, you can't see it till it already shows up. No question. What's the difference between a stable coin and a token? The stable coin is fixed to an asset. So for example, our stable coin will be fixed to gold and silver. So it will be stable at the price of that metal, irregardless of what happens in the crypto market. A stable coin that's backed by Bitcoin is an oxymoron, because Bitcoin is not stable. By its nature, it can't be stable. So telling people that they had a great algorithm worked out and it would always be stable was just a ridiculous idea. It's a pity we don't seem to be able to learn this. Yeah, exactly, Martin. If we don't learn our lessons from history, we are doomed to repeat them. And that is just amazing. How does that differ from a token? Well, you can have a token. A token is a coin that runs. Let me start again. A coin, for example, zeniq coin runs on the zeniq blockchain. A Tupan token is a zeniq coin wrapped in glad wrap with a picture painted on it. So whilst it behaves similarly to a zeniq coin because that's the underlying structure, it's painted a different color for a different purpose. So tokens are coins reused for another purpose. Coins are a native coin on a native blockchain. So everything that runs on the Ethereum ERC20 contract, that's a token, irregardless of whether someone calls it a coin or not. Technically, it's a token. Hope that answers your question, Chris. Thank you, Maxine. Thanks, Doug and Jenny. Excellent. Have a think about it. Give me a yell tomorrow if it doesn't work. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Great to have you with us tonight. We will continue on down this road. We look forward to seeing you on the golden beaches of the world. Have a great night.